my God. Wait a minute. Are you telling me that Anthony Richardson is undefeated against Utah and Caleb Williams is winless against you? Is that what you're telling me? Well, this
Yeah,
can't be true because Caleb Williams paints his fingernails and has a Heisman. So how's that possible?
they should trade the Heisman then.
They were in the game with Ohio State until the last possession of the game.
Yeah, you imagine if Ohio State loses to Purdue again at Purdue and they blame it on the weather.
Purdue, yeah. Plus, Purdue's got a brand new coaching staff and no talent, so that would be very alarming.
Fun fact about Purdue: they have 17 wins over top 5 teams when unranked.
Yeah. I didn't know it was up to 17, but I read that stat a couple of years ago. It might have been when they beat Ohio State a couple of years ago. That stat started floating around. That Purdue has like some ridiculous amount of wins over top 5 teams when they're unranked. Yeah, that's a strange stat there. Yeah.
Yeah, Ohio State better be worried because if it's raining or snowing in the wind, man, and they're playing Purdue. Do
you remember last year when who was it? I forget which team it was last year. They won the game, but it was a slot. It might have been. Was it Northwestern? They struggled against some terrible team last year. Yep. And somebody on Twitter was blaming the wind, and I was like, "What do you mean the wind?" And they actually said the wind was too loud.
Oh man!
So it wasn't like the physical effects of the wind. It wasn't like C.J. Stroud couldn't throw the ball because of the wind. Physically, it was that the wind was too loud, according to the Ohio State man. I tell you, boy, if there's an excuse to be found, the Ohio State man will find it. I think they've got obviously they've got a playbook. Every team's got a playbook. I think they've got an excuse book that they hand out to the fans, too. But, it's hard to blame the fans. This shit trickles down from Ryan Day. Ryan Day is still talking about the Peach Bowl like it happened yesterday. He better move on. Stop whining, crying, and complaining about it. Look what happened to Alabama when they spent 6 months crying about a whooping they took at the hands of the Dogs. How'd that work out for Alabama? Well, not too well. They went out the following year, weren't good enough to win their division, gave up 100 to Tennessee, lost to a first-year head coach in Brian Kelly, and their best win was against 5-loss Ole Miss. Ohio State is headed down that same road if they don't stop crying about yesteryear and start looking forward down the road and figuring out, A, how do we stop Michigan from running for 300 yards on us? Number 2, can we beat Notre Dame in the middle of the season? I don't know. And number 3, what letter was I on?
4.
Yeah, that. So that's what they need to do.
Yeah, they might turn into Alabama and Clemson, have no receiving core.
Man, don't say that because the Clemson man is staring down the barrel of a loss to Duke to open the season. I mean, the Clemson man is fixing to totally fall apart here in about 6 or 7 weeks. It's just going to be ugly. And I'm pretty sure that game's on a federal fucking holiday, and so everyone's going to be watching it. Man, that's going to be embarrassing.
Oh, boy, it's straight poverty.
Yeah. It's going to be bad. So if you know a Tater man, which I know one or two, keep them in your thoughts.
At least feel bad for them, not Ohio State fans. I do not feel bad for Ohio State.
Yeah, no, hard to feel bad. So somebody told me on Twitter today, Kirby Smart just got lucky. If it wasn't for luck, he'd have 0 national titles. I say, so he'd be tied with Ryan Day then?
And Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, what are you talking about, dummy? Kirby's just lucky, or else he'd have 0 national titles. Well, okay. Well, he'd be tied with Ryan Day then. Yeah, now fuck off and have a great day. I mean, I'm like, what are you doing? Fucking idiot. Dummies.
Ryan Day is just like Lincoln Riley, man. They just both don't have no defense.
Yeah. Well, Ohio State's got more of a defense than Lincoln Riley's ever had. But I'm gonna say something about Southern Cal though this year. I do think they've got the most talent right now on defense that Lincoln Riley's ever had. Now we'll see how that translates on the field as far as like their overall philosophy and stuff like that. But they've got NFL players on that defense. That Corey Foreman, the Bear Alexander. I mean, they've got some pieces there. Now they don't have the depth defensively that they've got it on offense or that some of the other teams have defensively, but they've got some players on the defensive side of the ball. So we'll see if they can. We'll see if they can figure it out. They got to find a way to beat the. They got to find a way to climb the mountain in the Pac-12 known as Utah. But if they can somehow do that, imagine being a Southern Cal fan and you've been just completely irrelevant since you cheated in the mid 2000s. You've just been completely irrelevant since then. You get all excited because you hire Lincoln Riley and pay him a king's ransom. He comes in and promptly gets beat not once but twice by Utah. And it still ends up being the best season you've had in 15 years. Wow.
Yep, and then you lose to Tulane.
Wow.
On top of that.
Did you know that Florida beat Utah?
With Anthony Richardson.
Oh, my God. Wait a minute. Are you telling me that Anthony Richardson is undefeated against Utah and Caleb Williams is winless against Utah? Is that what you're telling me? Well, this can't be true because Caleb Williams paints his fingernails and has a Heisman. So how's that possible?
They should trade the Heisman then to Anthony Richardson.
Wow. Anthony Richardson has a higher winning percentage against Utah than Caleb Williams does. Well, that might be the saddest fucking thing I've ever heard. Hey, Southern Cal man, call in and defend that to me. Call in and explain to me how it's possible that Caleb Williams is 0 for his entire life against Utah and Anthony Richardson is undefeated. I need to have that explained to me like I'm a 3-year-old.
Man, they're going to have a whole class. They might have to brainwash you into thinking Caleb Williams is better than Anthony Richardson.
That's the saddest thing. You're